Hey guys, welcome to another one of our Pete's how-to videos. I'm going to be showing you how to do an 8-cup French press today. So first thing you're going to want to do is get yourself your French press preheated, rinsed out, clean. You want the environment for this French press to be already warm so that when you add your coffee grounds in your water, you're not having the process cool down a little faster than what's good for the French press brew. Grab yourself your coffee, preference as to any type you like. Any type of coffee really works great in the French press. It's one of the best methods to get the fullest flavor potential out of your bean, mostly because of the brewing processes. There's nothing in between your water and your coffee, whereas if you were dealing with like a paper filter. So get your coffee. You're going to want to pre-ground your coffee pre-ground but freshly ground when you're ready to brew it. For a French press grind, you can range it down a couple grind settings below. Finer if you prefer your coffee to be a little stronger, and maybe you'll get a little more grit and murkiness to your coffee. Just be careful not to grind it too fine because it will get a little too chewy when you're drinking it. So for this particular size, you're going to use 10 tablespoons of your coffee. So when your water is ready to boil, which I just set, and I currently have a timer going for 1 minute. So as soon as that timer is ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and add the water over the top of the coffee grounds. So start by adding your dry grounds into your carafe. If you can, make sure there's no loose water inside there from the preheating process. So go ahead and add that to the bottom of your container. Alright. A couple more seconds. Alright. So when your timer's ready and it goes off, recommended is anywhere from about 1 minute to 2 minutes off of the boil. It's just going to be really dependent on what you notice from your own trial and error. If you notice that when you brew with the 1 minute off the boil and it comes off a little bitter, you may want to reduce it down maybe even as far as 2 minutes. With these Hario kettles that I'm using, because it's pouring from a bottom pour, it's pulling all the water that's hottest at the very bottom of the kettle. So whereas if it was pulling from the top of the area where the water's beginning to cool down because there's nothing to insulate it, it would cool down a little faster. So the Hario kettles, you may want to let it sit down for just a little longer. But when you're ready, alright, you're going to want to initially add just about 1/4 of the way full. And the purpose of this is because you initially want to in a sense, prime up your coffee. You want to allow the coffee to breathe, to blossom, to bloom. Essentially what you're doing is you're degassing your coffee, especially if you're using certain types. Latin Americans or even some Africans will tend to be a little gassy. So when you put your press on the top, it'll fight you when the brew time is ready to finish. So once you let the brew a little bit, you can go and add a little more. And brew recommendations, can range anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Again, it's all flavor preference. There's really no right or wrong way when it comes to that particular brew time. So don't let anybody tell you that that it's supposed to be a certain way. Again, it's all up to the taster. So, all right. For me, I like to go ahead and get my coffee all ready. Again, I can't stress the degassing part of it enough, but. So once you're done, for me, I go ahead and I fill my water just at the very top of this top silver liner here. So when that's done, go ahead and add my press on the top. Alright. And you're going to want to start by compressing it down about halfway. Purpose of that is because you want to initially make sure you ensure that all your grinds are fully saturated. And when you bring it back to the top, make sure it's just below the surface, because again, you want all your coffee beneath and below to allow it to brew evenly. And then go ahead and set your timer. I'm going to go ahead and set this for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Pete's recommendations for a press is 3 minutes. Again, it's going to be dependent on your interpretation of, in that initial part of adding water to it, does that go into your brew process? Again, try, taste, experiment. Every time you do a different brew, go ahead and try something new. But so when that timer goes off, you're going to want to go ahead and compress it down, and then go ahead and enjoy it. Today I'm trying the holiday blend on this French press. again, I cannot stress how great this year's Hollywood Blend pizza is this year. That aged Java inside of it just completely rounds out the flavor in this. You know, the interaction between the Latin Americans and the Africans really produces a delicious, bittersweet, dark chocolatey sort of flavor in the coffee. You know, but when you try it on your own, you may find yourself finding other characters come out. You know, I tend to taste the heavy earthiness on the aged Java, which to me is, I think, is probably why I find this particular coffee, this particular year's blend, to be extra delicious, because I'm a huge Indo-Pacific coffee fan. So, but that's pretty much it. Again, just experiment, try different things, see what you like, and see what works for you. But as well, this still got another minute to brew. But again, you know, whenever you have questions about any particular brew processes, feel free to leave any sort of comments. I'm always happy to answer anything, any questions or curiosities, particular brew methods. If something that you're trying isn't working, you know, I might be able to help you. So leave your questions, and I'm always available to help out in that. You know, this is an opportunity for people out there to get a chance to get to know the good brew processes and methods and become more knowledgeable for themselves. You know, again, I can't stress how important it is to recognize that there's guidelines that you should follow when you brew, when you use the different brew methods. But, you know, don't ever be discouraged by, you know, the from what people are telling you are supposed to be done for these brew methods. Again, everyone's taste buds are different, so you're just going to want to experiment for yourself and find something that works out good for you. So once your press is done, good. If you allowed all the degassing process to work correctly, when you compress it, it should be a pretty easy press. I mean, you can tell, like, there's no fight on it. If I didn't do a lot of the degassing, there would have been a little bit of a struggle to push down. And, you know, in some cases, some coffees are incredibly gassy, and you can do all the degassing you want, and progressively through the brew process, it will still give you a little fight. But when you're done, go ahead and give yourself, get my Mr. mug, a little matching Mr. and Mrs. mug that I got for my wedding. But again, when you go ahead and pour and enjoy, and the great thing about the French press is that, you know, because of the compression down below, it's not going to overbrew on you. You know, I would recommend that anytime you do this particular method, you know, I would follow the guidelines of the ratio for it. Some people go ahead and brew halfways and compress down. My philosophy is that, you know, you're not going to have enough of a containment at the very bottom, so may continue to brew a little bit, but to each his own. So again, when it's all said and done, good recommendation for these, I mean, really any brew process, when you pour your cup, give yourself about a minute before you take your initial sips, because you want to allow a lot of that heat to dissipate, so the flavor on it's really tasty. Again, visit us on Pete's Test and Crossing. Check out any one of our store pages within our district, and, you know, feel free to join, like the page, and hope to see you then. All right, thanks, guys.